Is your body quietly sending out distress signals, and you're just chalking it up to getting older? If your erections aren't as firm as they used to be, if your energy levels have dipped and naps are becoming your new best friend, if intimacy feels more like a chore than a desire not by choice, but because your body won't rise to the occasion, then pause for a moment. Don't assume it's just age, because the truth might be far simpler and fixable than you think. I'm Dr. Mohit Kaur, a men's health expert with over 30 years of experience helping men just like you, men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, regain not only their physical vitality, but their confidence, clarity, and masculine edge. Today, I want to tell you something most doctors don't. Most older men don't suffer from a lack of desire. They suffer from something else, something treatable. They suffer from poor blood flow, low endurance, hormonal imbalances, and while mainstream medicine may reach for a prescription pad, the real solution could already be sitting on your plate or missing from it. So stay with me, because in this video, I'll reveal 3 specific vitamins that your body could be desperately crying out for. These nutrients are critical for restoring strong blood flow, supporting natural testosterone production, and reigniting your energy levels from the inside out. And more importantly, I'll show you how most men take these vitamins the wrong way and what you must do instead to actually see results. Before we dive in, drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from. I love seeing how far this message reaches, from Toronto to Tokyo, from Dallas to Dublin. It means a lot. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss another essential health update specially designed for men over 60 who refuse to settle for decline. All right, ready to reclaim what's rightfully yours. Let's begin with the first and most underestimated vitamin in the male vitality equation. 1. Vitamin D, the spark plug for blood flow and confidence. Let me take you back to a conversation I had years ago with a 67-year-old man named Paul. Paul was the kind of guy who still wore a tucked-in shirt, still opened the door for his wife, and still wanted to be the man she could count on physically, emotionally, intimately. But one day he looked at me and said quietly, "Doc, I want to be close to my wife, but my body just doesn't cooperate anymore." That sentence stuck with me, not because it was rare, but because it's common. Painfully common, and tragically misunderstood. What Paul didn't know, and what so many men don't, is that one of the biggest culprits in that loss of physical performance wasn't psychological. It wasn't even hormonal. It was a simple deficiency: vitamin D. You may know it as the sunshine vitamin, but for men over 60, I call it the foundation of masculine power. Here's why. As we age, our ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight decreases. Even if you're walking outside, your skin becomes less efficient at producing this vital nutrient. And without enough vitamin D in your system, your blood vessels don't dilate properly. Your nitric oxide production drops, and as a result, your circulation slows, your energy drops, and your libido begins to flicker like a dying flame. Over 40% of men over 60 are clinically deficient in vitamin D, and the scary part? Most have no idea. They feel the symptoms: fatigue, poor erections, brain fog, but they think it's just part of getting older. Let me be clear. Low vitamin D equals low nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is essential for strong, healthy blood flow, not just in your heart, but in the areas that define your masculinity. I've worked with patients who were taking expensive supplements, eating relatively healthy, even exercising, and still couldn't understand why they felt so drained, so disconnected from their own body. But the moment we corrected their vitamin D levels, the change was profound. I remember one man, Greg, 70 years old, who told me he hadn't felt awake in years. Within a month of raising his vitamin D, his morning stiffness in both senses of the word returned. His mood lifted, his energy became steady. And his wife, well, let's just say she noticed. So how can you restore vitamin D? Morning sunlight. Aim for 15 to 20 minutes of early sun exposure on your bare skin. Dietary choices. Add more salmon, mackerel, sardines, egg yolks, and fortified dairy. Supplementation. Look for high-quality vitamin D3 cholecalciferol, ideally combined with K2 for better absorption and artery health. This isn't about chasing youth, it's about supporting your biology so that age doesn't rob you of your vitality. And while vitamin D sets the stage by improving blood flow, it's not the full story. Because even the best circulation is useless if your body doesn't have the fuel to power movement, thought, and connection. So let's talk about the second powerhouse vitamin A nutrient that fuels every cell in your body. 2. Vitamin B12. The hidden key to lasting energy and mental clarity. Have you ever woken up after a full night's sleep and still felt like you barely had the energy to face the day? Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there, or struggled to stay focused during a simple conversation? You're not lazy, you're not losing your mind. You might just be low in vitamin B12. Let me introduce you to Robert, 72 years old, retired firefighter, proud grandfather of 6. On paper, he was doing everything right. Eating well, sleeping 8 hours, walking daily. But he looked exhausted. He came into my office and said, "Doc, I'm tired all the time. My brain's foggy. And when my wife wants to be close, I want to be there for her, but I just don't have it in me." What Robert was experiencing was classic vitamin B12 deficiency, and it's far more common than most people realize. Here's what happens. Vitamin B12 is essential for converting the food you eat into usable energy. Without it, your body simply can't power your cells properly, no matter how many calories or protein grams you consume. But that's not all. B12 also helps produce red blood cells, the very cells responsible for delivering oxygen to your brain muscles and, yes, your sexual organs. So when you're low in B12, your muscles fatigue quickly, your thinking becomes sluggish, your libido fades, and your motivation takes a nosedive. Worse, as you get older, your ability to absorb B12 from food declines sharply. The natural acids and enzymes in your stomach necessary to extract B12 from meat, dairy, and eggs diminish over time. That means even if you're eating the right foods, your body may not be getting the full benefit. But here's the good news. It's one of the easiest things to fix. With proper B12 supplementation, whether through sublingual tablets, sprays, or doctor-administered injections, your energy levels can bounce back dramatically. I've seen men go from falling asleep during the 6 o'clock news to leading weekend hikes with their grandchildren. And I've seen marriages rekindled not because of therapy or pills, but because the husband finally felt like himself again, alive, alert, engaged. So ask yourself, do you wake up tired? Do you feel foggy or forgetful? Have you lost interest in things that once excited you? If so, your body may be whispering something important. It's time to listen. But energy and blood flow are just part of the equation. There's one more vitamin often ignored that acts like armor for your arteries and fuel for your masculinity. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we move on, I want you to take this in. You are not broken. You are not past your prime. Your body is a remarkable machine. But like any machine, it needs the right fuel, the right maintenance, and the right attention to keep performing. And these 3 vitamins might just be the simple, powerful shift you've been looking for. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive into the third essential vitamin, the most dangerous mistake men make when supplementing, and how to protect your blood vessels, restore testosterone, and support your body's natural rhythm. And remember, if this message is hitting home, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and tell me how I can better serve you. I'm Dr. Mohit Kaur, and this is just the beginning of reclaiming your strength. So we've seen how vitamin D and B12 can revive blood flow and bring back that missing spark of energy. But the real magic begins when we complete the trio by adding one powerful, often overlooked nutrient that defends the very hormones that define your masculinity. Let's talk about that third vitamin, the one that quietly safeguards your manhood, your vitality, and your confidence. 3. Vitamin E, the fertility defender that shields your masculine edge. I'll never forget a particular afternoon in my clinic when James walked in. He was a 70-year-old retired pilot, tall, composed, and proud, the kind of man who used to soar through the skies and command a cockpit without a flicker of hesitation. But that day, his eyes told a different story. He leaned forward and quietly admitted, "Doc, I eat well. I work out 3 times a week. I don't drink or smoke. I'm doing everything right. but I feel off. My drive is down. I'm not bouncing back like I used to. And to be honest, I don't feel like a man anymore." His words hung in the room like thick fog. Because this wasn't just about libido or performance, it was about identity. His sense of self. His quiet fear that maybe, just maybe, this was the new normal. But what James didn't realize, and what many men over 60 don't, is that beneath all his efforts, there was still one key piece missing: vitamin E. Now, most people think of vitamin E as something for skin creams or fertility pills, but for men like James, men who refuse to surrender their strength, it's something far more powerful. It's a defender, a natural antioxidant, and a silent warrior for your blood, your hormones, and your manhood. Here's how it works. As we age, inflammation starts building quietly within the body. Not the obvious kind that causes pain, but the slow, silent inflammation that gradually erodes blood vessels, disrupts hormone production, and sabotages sexual health. And unless you stop it in its tracks, this internal fire continues to smolder, weakening circulation, lowering testosterone, and draining your energy like a slow leak in a tire. That's where vitamin E steps in. It helps extinguish that hidden inflammation and shields your cells from oxidative stress, the biological rust that comes with aging. It protects the flexibility of your arteries, keeps your blood flowing freely, and helps maintain the delicate balance of hormones that power your masculinity. Think of it like armor for your inner engine, keeping everything running smoothly under the hood. You see, erections aren't just about desire, they're about circulation, plain and simple. And when blood can't reach where it needs to go, performance suffers. No matter how much you want it, the body simply can't deliver. But with strong vitamin E levels, your blood vessels remain flexible, responsive, and capable of supporting a healthy response when you need it most. And there's more. Vitamin E doesn't just support your circulation, it also helps your body produce testosterone more efficiently. And if you're over 60, that's not just important, it's essential. Because low testosterone isn't just a bedroom issue. It affects your motivation, your mental sharpness, your emotional resilience, and yes, even your sense of purpose. It can leave you feeling flat, indifferent, and disconnected from your partner, from your passions, and even from yourself. But when you restore this critical vitamin, the shift is remarkable. I've seen men who were once sluggish, short-tempered, and discouraged return to my clinic months later with a bounce in their step and a twinkle in their eye. "Doc," they say, "I feel alive again." Not just sexually, but mentally, emotionally, and physically. So how do you get more of this male-supporting powerhouse? Nature provides it generously if you know where to look. Almonds, sunflower seeds, olive oil, leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard. These foods are loaded with natural vitamin E and support your body in a way synthetic pills often can't. But if your diet isn't consistent, a high-quality, full-spectrum vitamin E supplement derived from natural sources, not synthetic, can help fill in the gaps. Remember James the pilot? 3 months after we optimized his vitamin E levels, he came back a different man. His eyes were brighter, his handshake firmer, and his words, "I feel like I'm back in the cockpit." That's the power of giving your body what it truly needs, not just to survive, but to thrive. Now, you might be wondering, what happens when you combine all 3 of these essential vitamins, vitamin D, B12, and E? Do they just work in isolation? Or do they create something greater, like 3 musicians syncing up to form a powerful orchestra? The answer will surprise you. Because when used correctly, these 3 nutrients don't just support separate systems. They amplify each other's effects, and together they spark a transformation that can touch every corner of your health, circulation, energy, hormone balance, even emotional strength. Let's dive into that next. Earlier, we saw how Gerald turned things around, not by working harder, but by working smarter. Now, the real question is, how can you apply this to your own life? Supporting blood flow and balancing hormones isn't about quick fixes or trendy hacks. It's about laying a solid daily foundation, one that builds you up from the inside out. When Gerald switched to higher quality supplements and took them consistently, the transformation was undeniable. In just a few weeks, he told me he was sleeping more soundly, waking up with real energy, and his words, feeling like a man again. That change didn't come from luck or from doubling his workouts. It came from doing the right things in the right way at the right time. Now that you know which vitamins truly work and what common pitfalls to avoid, the next step is simple: putting it all together into something you can stick with. You might be wondering, how do I actually make this part of my daily life without it becoming some complicated routine? I'll forget in a week. That's exactly what we're going to walk through next. A practical, realistic daily plan that any man can follow to boost energy, sharpen performance, and stay vital through every single day. 6. Your daily vitality routine. One of the most common things older men ask me, usually with a mix of curiosity and quiet urgency, is this: "Doc, just tell me what to do. I'm not looking for anything fancy. I just want something that works." And I get it. At this stage in life, most men aren't chasing gimmicks. They're not looking for six-pack abs or miracle cures. They're looking for consistency, for a routine that fits seamlessly into real life, helps them feel strong again, and restores a sense of control. Let me introduce you to Frank. He was a 66-year-old former carpenter who came to me feeling frustrated, low energy, restless sleep, and growing distance in the bedroom. We didn't overhaul his life. Instead, we built a steady, effective rhythm, simple steps centered around the 3 core vitamins we've been discussing, and that made all the difference. Here's what his day looked like. Each morning, Frank would start with a tall glass of water to rehydrate, followed by his vitamin B12 supplement taken right alongside a protein-rich breakfast. Eggs, Greek yogurt, or even a hearty oatmeal with nuts worked well for him. After eating, Frank would take a short walk outside, just 15 minutes in the morning sun. That little bit of natural light helps stimulate your body's own vitamin D production. On cloudy days or during the winter, he'd use a high-quality D3 supplement taken with his first meal of the day. When it came to vitamin E, Frank kept things simple. A small handful of almonds or sunflower seeds at lunch, or a drizzle of olive oil on top of his salad, did the job beautifully. It didn't require any major changes, just thoughtful additions to what he was already doing. That was it. No drastic diets, no complicated routines, just small, deliberate choices. And within weeks, Frank told me he had more energy to play with his grandkids, more interest in being close to his wife, more life in his days. He didn't feel younger, he felt more grounded, like a stronger, more complete version of himself. Because here's the truth. You don't need a cabinet full of pills or an over-engineered morning routine. What you need is rhythm, the right nutrients in the right form, taken consistently and with purpose. That paired with a mindset that says, "I'm still in charge of my health," is what makes the difference. And you are in charge. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share one final message, one that every man over 60 deserves to hear, but almost never does. 7. The message most men never hear. If you've ever sat quietly wondering if it's too late to feel strong, to feel wanted, to feel alive again, I want you to know something important. It's not. Over the past 30 years, I've sat across from hundreds, no thousands of men just like you. Men who've built families, men who've worked hard, sacrificed, and carried the weight of responsibility their entire lives. And now, in the stillness of later years, they ask themselves, why doesn't my body feel like it used to? That question doesn't mean you've given up. It means you still care. You're still fighting, still reaching for the strength, energy, and sense of connection that make life worth living. We've talked about 3 essential vitamins today. Vitamin D, the circulation spark plug that opens up your blood vessels and restores vital blood flow. Vitamin B12, the energy generator that fuels your brain, your muscles, your stamina. And vitamin E, the fertility defender that shields your heart, supports testosterone, and keeps your system operating like it's meant to. But listen closely, knowing their names isn't enough. Real transformation only happens when you integrate them into your life, when you build that consistent rhythm, when you start to notice that day by day you're waking up more like yourself again. These nutrients don't just support your body. They support your identity, your confidence, your presence in your relationships, the quiet dignity of knowing you still matter deeply. I've watched men convinced that their best years were behind them rediscover a second wind, a spark that brought them back to life. So what now? That's up to you. You can take everything you've learned today and leave it on the shelf. Or you can act on it. You can start small. Take the walk. Drink the water. Choose the better supplement. Say yes to your health and to the future that's still waiting for you. Because let me say this plainly, it is not too late. Not even close. You still have time to feel strong. You still have time to reconnect. You still have time to be the man you know you are fully, boldly, and without apology. You've already taken the first step by showing up, watching this, and listening. Now take the next one. If this video spoke to you, if it helped you or gave you something worth thinking about, please don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button so we know this message is making a difference. Share it with a friend, a brother, or someone you care about who might need to hear this. And if you've got a moment, leave a comment below. Tell me what resonated most with you or what topic you want us to explore next. Your voice does matter. You help shape this space. If you'd like to support this mission and help us reach more men over 60, consider making a small donation. Every little bit goes toward better research, clearer videos, and stronger outreach. You're not just a viewer, you're part of something bigger. And I'm grateful to have you here. Before you go, tell me where are you tuning in from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. I read every single one, and it means a lot to connect with you. Take care of yourself. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video.